moderator today, and welcome to Warbirds in Review 2009. But also, before we get started, I'd like to remind you this afternoon at 1 o'clock here, we're going to have Colonel Bud Anderson with the P-50, both of the P-51Bs, the B and the D, and Jack Roush, who owns the airplanes. And also we have tomorrow morning, we have another one at 10 o'clock. It's going to be the Tuskegee Airmen. And at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we'll have General Gunter from the German Air Force. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you come around. Now this is a real exciting thing for me today, because I have a lot of respect for the Ravens. How many people in here know who the Ravens are? There's a lot of people that don't know anything about it, and it's understandable because it was a clandestine, very, very dangerous operation. And until the year 2000, a lot of it was still classified. Now, there was a book that was written by Christopher Robbins in 1987 called The Ravens, which is a very good book. We don't have that over here, we're not selling that, are we? But I think, is it still in publication?
1, 2, 1, there we go. It's available online at our Ravens website, www.ravens.org. www.ravens.org. It's a very, very good book, and I suggest that you buy it and read it. It's I won't say it's entertaining, but it's very informative. Now, the Ravens were from the 1960s through 1973, and as I said, it was a very dangerous mission, and as I understand it, you had to be a forward air controller for 6 months prior to applying for the Steve Canyon program. Wasn't that what you called it? And you didn't know what you were applying for. It was just you were getting out of something that you didn't want to be doing to start off with. Now, what we're going to do here is we have Jack Drummond over here. He flew 600 missions. He's had 3 Silver Stars, 2 DFCs, and 20 Air Medals, and a career in the Air Force after that also. I understand that correct? Also, we have Ed Gunter here, and Ed is going to tell you about all the awards that he flew, that he earned, because I don't have them down here. He didn't tell anybody, so you'll have to get that out of it. So each one of these gentlemen is going to tell their story from their standpoint. And you realize that there were a lot of Ravens, and there was a tremendous amount of loss, but a lot of them didn't know each other because they were there for only a 1-year tour of duty, is generally. Now, we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the T28. This airplane here is a T28D, which is very, very unique. It's a modification of a T28A.
I've had this airplane about 7 years. My friends in EAA are trying to teach me how to fly formation in it. I'm sort of successful at that, but not quite yet, so I wish I was up there with them. But it's my pleasure to have it here on display for everybody to enjoy.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Cooper. Appreciate it. Now, I guess I'm just going to start off with Ed here. And Ed, what I'd like for you to do is tell us how you got interested in aviation, and take us right on up through a typical mission.
Thanks, Sam. First of all, I'd like to start out by thanking some of the folks who made this possible. I am truly honored to be here among some of the aviation greats and the legends of aviation as are found here. Jim Stitt of the Trojan Horseman, thanks for the invitation. And Dr. Glasser and Linda, thanks for all the stuff you've done to get us up here. Thanks a bunch. It's really important to us. I guess the first thing to start off with is, what is a Raven? Quite a few don't know, and it's understandable, because at the time, and even up till the mid to late 80s, the entire program was classified top secret, in fact. When we got to South Vietnam as forward air controllers, we had no idea what this, quote, Steve Canyon program was, other than it was some highly classified job. Nobody knew where it was. Nobody knew exactly what they were doing.
So you can imagine that volunteering for something like that took a special personality, or a different personality, I should say. To start off with, a definition of the Ravens. Probably the best definition comes out of the bylaws of the Edgar Allan Poe Literary Society, which is our Texas nonprofit corporation that keeps us together. And that says that a Raven was anyone who flew combat missions as a forward air controller in support of Laotian or Hmong forces in the Kingdom of Laos. And it sounds pretty straightforward, but what it doesn't tell you is that that war in Laos was a very unusual, very different war. Like I mentioned, it was classified that we were there. Due to national treaties, international treaties, they were not allowed. Laos was a neutral country. Foreign forces were not allowed. Therefore, we didn't have any Chinese, didn't have any North Vietnamese, didn't have any American forces on the ground, right? Everybody believe that? Well, we didn't believe it either. We were there, and of course everybody that knows anything about the Vietnam War knows that the North Vietnamese were running a regular supply route down through the panhandle of Laos into South Vietnam, and they were also working toward the central Laos portion from Dien Bien Phu in that area, and the Chinese were building a road from China down through northern Laos. So there were plenty of foreign forces there. As to how I got into it, the Raven, you know, it's easy to give the definition, but to get to be a Raven took several things, and the bulk of the Ravens, we've got about 201 guys who are identified as Ravens. The bulk of us went through the standard forward air controller route in South Vietnam. I personally got out of pilot training at Laughlin Air Force Base. From there I received an O1 assignment, went through upgrade training at Hurlburt and Holly Field, and then got to South Vietnam, heard a little bit about this Raven program, and it sounded interesting. After about 4 months, I was getting tired of the rules of engagement. I saw some really silly things happen, people getting killed because of those rules of engagement, and I got tired of the bureaucrats and REMFs. Everybody know what a REMF is? R-E-M-F? Anybody know what it is? It's a rear echelon, oh, my friend. But those were the guys who sat at their desks in Saigon, Bien Hoa, and they made up rules that we had to live by. So we tried to avoid them. A lot of the Ravens volunteered for that program to get away from that kind of thing. Like I said, after about 4 months, I was getting tired of that. A couple of other things happened, not the least of which was one of my academy classmates, a guy named Dan Davis, and I'm sure Tom Calvinelli remembers Dan. Dan had gone up the Raven program about 3 or 4 months before me, and he came back to South Vietnam, and I pulled him aside in the bar. Over a couple of beers, I tried to pump him for information, but Dan was true to his call me anything other than it was classified where they were. They had some great targets, and they got to fly the T28, arm the guns, and drop bombs. And that was all I needed to hear. The next day I volunteered for it, and about a month later they waived my 5 months in country and shipped me up to Laos. And the reason they did that, if I'd known it at the time, I might have had second thoughts. But they did that because they were running out of bodies. They needed fresh meat up in Laos. The primary airplanes we used up there for forward air control were the O1 Bird Dog and the U-17, the Cessna 185. Both great FAC airplanes, good visibility. You could see a lot below you. It had some drawbacks though, and it was not real good in a high threat environment. So a number of us got to check out in this beauty right here, the T28. And we had B's, C's, and D models. Mostly up country, we flew the B's and C's. But some of the beauties of this were, it was faster, more survivable in a higher threat environment. You could carry a whole lot more. Whereas in the Bird Dog or the U-17, we were limited to about 8 white phosphorus marking rockets. With the T-28, we could carry pods of 7 of those. We had 6 stations on it that we could load up with the white phosphorus rockets, high explosive rockets, flechette rockets. We carried 250-pound, 500-pound bombs. We carried napalm. What else? We had the guns. CBU, we could carry CBU canisters on it, so we had a good variety. So if we had a hot target, couldn't get U.S. Air to support it, we could take care of it with this ourselves.